ultimate being in which we extract all of our power and able to sustain our existence, that's whom was speaking. And whenever this source, this power, this being would speak to me, my entire face would be on fire. But it was a blue fire. Like, have you ever seen the starriest night sky you could possibly think of, with the biggest, brightest, darkest blue you could ever feel? That's what it was. And then when it was, they, and God power would ask me questions, and when it would be my time to answer these questions, my face came back, my regular face. I'm looking in the mirror and this is happening. And then when it was time for God to speak, my face was on fire again. There was no me. Like, there was nothing but fire, nighttime fire though. It's not like flames and like you see the fire that you light. It was, like I said, it was as if someone put the sky on fire at nighttime. And that's what you could see in me. And that's what it was. And then,
Well, for me, like when it comes to experiences like that, I know from what I've studied about it and what I've known from experience and other people around me is it has a lot to do with thresholds. You know, and when I say a threshold, it is a generalized word, but it has a meaning. You know, like, have you ever thought of what the entranceway to a door is? It's a threshold down by the floor, okay? And like
yeah,
that's basically what it's referring to. You cross over a threshold. You leave one room, you enter another room, and when you're crossing a threshold, it opens you up. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of ways of achieving that ability of crossing over a threshold, and some of them are good and some of them are bad. Now, when I was involved in drinking and drugs, okay, I ended up feeling enough pain to where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I mean? And it was either I had to freaking give it up or I was gonna die, just plain and simple. You know what I mean? And I'd crossed that threshold to where I was willing to say to myself, "Look, I don't want to do this no more." No,
enough is enough.
right, and at no time before that happened was I willing to say that. You know what I mean? And I believe that these thresholds are out there where whenever you cross over it, it kind of gives you a moment of clarity. You know what I mean?
And elevation. It elevates you. Yes.
And you were talking about having experience and having knowledge and everything, and I believe that all of those are on levels. Okay, like first of all, I think experience results directly in wisdom. Okay, I believe that with learning. Okay, there's a difference between being taught and learning. Now, when you learn, what happens is you go through different levels of learning, and like you'll go out and you'll learn stuff, and for the longest time it won't make sense to you, but then all of a sudden one day it's like you've hit a different level of understanding, so you go from learning to understanding. Okay, and
Knowledge, it actually goes knowledge, wisdom, understanding. So knowledge is the foundation of all things in existence. Wisdom is the activation of knowledge. So you learn, you know what you know, and then you do something with it. And then after you've acted upon it, then you're able to understand. That's your comprehension. Understanding is your comprehension. And that's what grants you the freedom in order to create your culture and your existence, giving you the power and the equality that most people you see in quote unquote power utilize, which is the creator, God mentality, God being, God state. And then you're able to build as well, transform, because energy, it says destroy, but energy cannot be created nor destroyed, just transferred. So you build and you transform your energy, the energy you have, you are around you, and then you're able to born. Nine is the only number of continuation that continues to born itself. Nine is nine is nine is nine, nine times one is nine, nine times two is nine. Everything with nine is nine. Nine is born and continuation. Cats have nine lives. And then you have a cipher. Then we stop there. Cipher is a continuation. The 10, quote unquote, there's no such thing as 10. There's only a zero. Zero is a cipher. Zero is when you continue again. That's why they say 360. 360, 369, 9. Nine is the zero. Zero is a cipher, a continuation. Again, like I said. And so it basically, to be born again is what eternal life is. But we're thinking of it as a spiritual level because we've monetized again Vatican responsible for the religions that we have here disperse project and have you to believe in order for you to submit pay for it and think that when you hear me speak of this it's religious, but it's not religious, it's biological. It's you, it's who you are. So your continuation, your nine, your born, your continuation, your ability to live infinitely is very much in your hands. People, death is definitely a decision. Well, people didn't choose to die. Yes, yes, they have. And people, they don't choose to die. It's just there's acts to where certain things have to happen in order for there to be a balance. And people that are killed unexpectedly against what the original plan is, they always return back. There's a they always reincarnate. And then while we're incarnate, we have positions in which we're supposed to fulfill and positions in which we're supposed to live. But again, direct connection to source teaches of God actually being you, you being connected to source, source being the ultimate. So you're God, source is the ultimate. There's no God above you, but there is source energy power above you, and that is infinite. And that being
No,
infinite and you plugged into its infiniteness, you as well become infinite. But I'll tell you, you're going to die of a disease. If I tell you on paper, black and white, because if you think it and then you write it down, it becomes more real. The more you say it, the more you do it, it just becomes real, no matter what, regardless of how much you're against it. That's why the universe does not recognize negative. That's why you say, I can't be late. I can't be late. I can't be late. And what's going to happen is you're going to be late because the universe only hears, I can be late. Oh, if you can be late, let's take our time. You can be late. Let me throw some traffic out here for you. The universe is unable to recognize negative. We put negatives here and we talk about it like it's the norm. You'll hear me correct myself all the time because I'm learning as I go. So if I slip a donut, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I mean, I must refrain from. And it sounds like, oh, what are you talking like that for? Because what I say matters. Like, I'm not being a bitch, as I've been called. Excuse me if I'm not supposed to say that on here. I
who
apologize.
you think
I'm
you're
not
talking
being
to?
that though.
Who you think you're talking to? I cuss people in a nutshell sometimes.
You feel me? I mean, it's not that. It's just literally our words. Words. That's why we call it spelling. Words are spells, and we are casting quote unquote spells every day as we speak. When they
No,
say life and death is in the power of the tongue,
hold on a
we're
minute. Let me ask you something. Have you ever heard of Carl Jung?
Carl Jung. And just tell me what. Maybe I don't know the person, but I know the concept.
Carl
So,
Jung was a psychologist, and he was actually the one that coined the term the God conscience. Have you ever heard of the God conscience?
I've heard it in a negative way. God complex. But even
No, no, the
in
God conscience is where like each individual has a little piece of God in them, and when they die or when they move on, that consciousness reunites with the greater consciousness. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And we're all connected in some way to that consciousness.
So that's the book that I've been like bragging about. This Madame Valiant lady, A Course in Spiritual Philosophy, and I shared it on my what is this stuff called X. And see, and every time I say it, I think about being on drugs. That's the only reason it's like such a hesitant. It's like I shared it on my X. Like you were on X when you did that. Like yeah, I was definitely on X. Like wow, okay. And it's just yeah, but it's A Course in Spiritual Philosophy, and it talks about the different planes of heaven, and there's no such thing as hell. Hell is what we create here on earth. But I've been saying this for years, so it's so funny because I was saying it based off of my conversation with Source in the mirror, and my face is on fire. And this lady, random lady, is writing a book about the exact same thing, and she's like, yeah, there's planes, and then how you live, quote unquote, in heaven is how you live in on earth. But so who you are in heaven is what you are on in who you are, excuse me, on earth is what you are when you go to, I say death, but death is rebirth, and rebirth is to live again. So people get offended when they're like, oh, die. But if I tell someone to die, I honestly mean that version of themselves needs to be reincarnated, and I mean that with the bottom of my entire existence, because I see things for what they are. I've told myself this has to change. I have to be someone different. I have to wake up from this life. I can no longer live like this, because we are able to continue on if we're going. Okay, so if you're in control of your entire existence, just hear me out. If you're in control of your entire existence, death is inevitable, quote unquote. But if death is inevitable and rebirth is a result of death or is actualized death, then you're able to actually reincarnate. Because if you're going to reincarnate regardless. So if you're going to reincarnate regardless, then either you're going to reincarnate or you're going to create your heaven here. So your heaven here is heaven in general, because this is heaven. Like, this is heaven and this is hell. The hell is what you create, chaos and confusion, or it's your heaven, your idealism. And it's idealism only created based off of your connection to, again, that source. I know it sounds far fetched and it sounds like I'm just speaking like erratically, but it's not. The truth of the matter is, you go outside, you put your feet on the ground, you sit in the sun, you sit in the moon, under the moon, you're going to absorb certain types of, especially naked. I highly recommend naked, as long as you're not going to get in trouble for streaking. I'm just telling you from experience. How did I become so knowledgeable? How did I become so powerful about the things that actually been maintaining my existence without anything of materialism? Like, how am I able to present this type of house to my children, this type of home, these type of connections, this type of ability? Because this is what I did to get here. You sat outside naked and danced in the rain? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't go to work 20 hours a day. Some people do that. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And I still made it here. So I'm telling you, it's definitely very much relevant in the sense of which it matters, and you can harvest it. And it's so much cheaper. And it's empowering. And as opposed to you becoming my slave, now you're my equal, you're my peer. I'm not making you feel as though you work for me, you work for you, and we work together. It's not a matter of I'm in control, it's we're in control. And we tell you that this is such a far-fetched idea, because then you're actually in control and you're not going to work for me, and I owe the man. I owe these people a lot of money because I got all these guns and these bombs, and you cannot get this idea and understand what you're capable of. I'm going to use this idea. I'm going to give you pretty shiny things, because the pineal gland responds to light. So the shinier, the brighter, the better. And I'm going to tell you, while you're in a trance like mindset, that this is what it is. This is what you're focused on. Whatever my pretty shiny thing is. And now I control your pineal gland. And while I'm controlling your pineal gland, you no longer have any say over what happens. And I tell you what happens. And you have no choice but to buy, because you've allowed me this access without even the thought. You gave consent.
Yeah, and like when you talk about that, it makes me think of another thing that's been discussed too before, was concerning mass hypnosis. You know, and a lot of people have an issue with that because they have a hard time accepting the fact that entire or societies can be influenced by mass hypnosis. You know, like 100 years ago, you didn't go downtown and see freaking beautiful glass skyscrapers standing in front of you. You know, and these are amazing structures that were built so that they could hypnotize you and make you think that, oh, this is what I want. You know what I mean? This is the
Yeah, the
kind.
symbolism, just the based off the structures, the way they're designed strategically in certain type of uniform in order for it to channel certain types of power, especially if you're looking at like places like the Washington DC. Like, I'm gonna go back to channeling and just referring to the Ring of Power. I highly recommend everyone watch that movie and just think about it for a little while. And then there's the series on the men that built America. You want to watch that. The History Channel has a lot about it as well. Like, there's a lot in regards to, hey, we're telling you we did this, but watch this. It's almost like they're appeasing people like me. Look, hey, you want us to tell them what we've been doing? Fine. We're going to tell them. Watch these idiots not care. And they literally throw it in the face of the people, and no one's doing anything. Oh, this is so scary. So do you want to go buy some more shiny things? And it's just like, no, you have to stay away from the shiny things. The shiny things are controlling you. No, 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 no. They're shiny. I have to have them. And it's like, I don't want to be controlled anymore, but I want to be empowered. But you cannot submit to the power that is minimizing you and that is draining you, and think that that's going to empower you, no matter how you like to portray it. It has to be a complete separation and a rebuild of something that can stand, that's sustainable, that's like natural resources, like natural energy, like the gas and like the gold, like the stuff that's going to be here no matter how many times we blow up the earth.